sat on them benches. I was in the game on 4th and inches.
Now it's time to go to work.
Now it's time to go to work. What is going on, Florida State family, Seminole Nation, and the 863 tribe? Is your boy POLK, a.k.a. A-Lo, a.k.a. the goddamn truth. Episode 90 of The Hangover is live and in effect. If you don't know, now you know. You are on the most interactive YouTube channel when it comes to this Florida State football content. And it's game week, obviously. Boston College. But I don't know, man. It might be some... We're going to talk about it, but it might be some delay with this game, or will we even be having this game or rescheduled? So far, I don't think any official news has come out from the ACC. That's very typical of the ACC. So far, nothing has come out in terms of what they're going to do with this game. But if you don't know, tropical storm or hurricane, I think Lee it's called, whatever it is made its way up the eastern seaboard, and we are supposed to make not landfall, but like be right off the coast. It's a huge storm, and it should be affecting that area around 8 o'clock Saturday morning. So I don't know. One would think that would have some type of effect on a noon kickoff game. We'll find out, man. I guess we'll find out together what's going to happen with that. But again, no official word on anything happening as far as the game, rescheduling the game. So since nothing official has come out, we're going to talk about the game as if it's happening. So let's do it, man. As always, before we get started, before we preview this Boston College, talk about this roster and some injury concerns, maybe not. We'll talk about that a little bit. How should Florida State approach the Boston College game? And before we do all of that, y'all already know the deal, man. Let's hit this roll call real quick, and then let's get into what we came here to talk about. So hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Share the videos. Let everybody know we are live on a Wednesday night talking Florida State football. Like, subscribe, share, get in the comment section. I'll give you 30 seconds to get in that comment section so you can make this roll call. And then we're not going to waste too much more time, and we're going to get it popping. All right, let's do it. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Todd Pope is in the building. Pack him up in the building. Peter Shields is in the building. He's a member of the 863 tribe. Born Legacy says tomorrow is his birthday. Happy birthday to Born Legacy. Give Born Legacy a happy birthday in the chat. Marvin Barnes, Montre, Corey Hall. I know this is called The Hangover, man, but Corey Hall is drunk. Corey Hall says, "What up, Polk? Come on and jump on this Buccaneer pirate ship. We're going to the Super Bowl." Man, think they're going to the Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield. Corey Hall has officially started drinking. He started his weekend on Wednesday. Shout out to Corey Hall in the building. Jeff, member of the 863 tribe. Tyler Hedden, member of the 863 tribe. Marco, our resident Louisville fan in the building. R. Davius, Seminoles, Zach, Vontae B, member of the 863 Tribe, Florida State Love, member of the 863 Tribe, Nick Blackshear, Ronald Smith, R. Davius, KCS, T. Murray, Zozuki, all in the building here tonight. Again, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Damian Adams is also in the building, man. Boston, where do we start? Boston College or the roster? Jason in the building. Jason is in the building. Let's start with the roster. How about that? Or let's start with some injury maybe talks or concerns and the way Florida State kind of approached last week's game. Obviously, you had Maurice Smith in a boot. I believe, this is my own personal belief, Maurice Smith could have played if he had needed to. If you were playing a team not named Southern Miss, if you were playing a team that was a threat to some degree, I believe Maurice Smith suits up and gets after it. Obviously, against a Southern Miss, you could afford to keep him on the bench. You could afford to keep him out of harm's way, and whatever nicks and bruises he has, you were able to heal that theoretically through 1 week. So you had Robert Scott didn't play, Maurice Smith didn't play, some other guys kind of on some snap counts. I think Fabian Lovett continues to be on a snap count. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. As a matter of fact, don't even correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to look it up right now. We know Kentron Portier didn't play as he has been battling an injury. So is injuries becoming a concern? Like, one of the things that Florida State, obviously, you want to continue to do is stay healthy. And with these games like a Southern Miss and now Boston College, who I'm not so sure Boston College is a better team than Southern Miss. If I'm being honest with you, I can't really, they are a Power 5 team, but I don't know if that means that they are a better football team than Southern Miss. Do you continue to rest guys? With that said, do you continue to rest guys with the looming threat that is Clemson on the horizon? What is more important, right? Is it more important to rest the Maurice Smiths, the Robert Scotts, even the Fabian Lovetts, in an effort to be healthy against Clemson? Or is it more important to maybe start playing some of those guys some more snaps? So when you go into that, now this is, if you haven't known or you haven't heard, Clemson will be a noon kickoff as well. So me personally have no problem with that whatsoever. I actually prefer a noon kickoff for the Clemson game. Makes me believe the crowd won't be as into it. One of those noon games won't get that same Death Valley primetime atmosphere that you usually get. So for me, noon kickoff works in our favor. I still expect a packed house for Clemson, most likely. The question I have is, do you want to get these guys on the field and get them in sync in preparation for Clemson, or do you value your rest? There's only been 2 games, and I kind of feel like, I don't want to say we're struggling with injuries, but it's only been 2 games, and, having Maurice Smith already, on some load management. Robert Scott's been on load management since day one. I mean, Fabo also came into the season on load management. So I guess, again, that goes to my question. Already kind of seemed like we're dealing with some nicks and some bruises. Thankfully, we are a much deeper team than we've been the last 2-3 years. So we can afford these injuries, especially against the Boston College. So if you can't tell, I'm kind of looking past Boston College. We will look at Boston College, But I'm kind of looking past Boston College at this point. You feel me? And I'm saying, do you use this game to continue to rest, or do you use this game to get people more in sync? I think the passing game needs to get more in sync or just execute better. Obviously, we saw that against Southern Miss. A lot of drop balls. I thought there were some errant throws there. You use Boston College to clean some of this stuff up. Through 2 games, 2 blowouts, FSU was averaging over 50 points a game. But even through those 2 games, I think everybody in this chat, all 55 of you, hit the like button, please, would agree. FSU hasn't played a clean game. FSU has not played a complete 4-quarter clean game. You need to obviously work on that in the Boston College game. Now, the weather's going to play a big impact in this game. So I don't expect us to, Jordan Travis threw 29 times in the first half against Southern Miss. I don't think we throw more than 29 times the entire game in Boston College. That has a lot to do with the weather. So with that being said, I don't know how much you can really work on the passing game with this game, depending on when this game happens. Does it happen as it's scheduled time? Do they move it back earlier or later into the evening, seeing as the storm should be passed by then? A lot of moving parts could potentially be happening with this Boston College game. How do you approach this game? Is rest a priority? Is cohesion and being in sync more of a priority? I don't have the answer. I'm simply asking, what do people in the chat think when it comes to this roster and these injuries and, how they approach the game, right? So we went into Southern Miss in the game. The approach of the game was, well, we're going to try different wide receiver combos. We're going to try different O-line combinations. We're going to work on some things in the Southern Miss game, and that's exactly how they approached it and attacked it. And you can see a little bit of the dysfunction in the first half in terms of, again, drop passes, errant balls. I guess I don't think they approach Boston College too differently, though I think they want to at least approach Boston College with a mentality of, I'm going to put the guys I expect to play the majority of the snaps against Clemson, because Clemson will not be a blowout, most likely, in the first half, like Boston College and Southern Miss was, and like Boston College can potentially be. So do I play my guys that I'm going to have in the game start? Do I get my starting O-line out there, my starting receivers, or do I continue to play with the roster and try these different combinations? Again, don't necessarily have the answer. But Jeff might have the answer because he hit a $10 donation. And Jeff says, I think you're going to do blah, blah. I think you go into this game and you try to play a clean game. I don't think you keep your starters in long. I think you could play a lot of your backups. And be honest, I don't disagree. Obviously, I think you're going to blow this team out and we'll be playing your backups. I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you start the game with the Clemson lineup? That's what I'm getting at. Obviously, you're going to play your backups. I expect 5 running backs to get carried. I especially in that second half, and if the weather's as bad as we think and the game does happen, expect a bunch of running backs to get a lot of carries. All the running backs on the roster might get carries in this one. But the point is, do you at least start the game don't play with the lineups? You get in there, your starters are in. So on the offensive line, you got your 5 guys, Maurice Smith included. On that wide receiver group, you got your guy. That's my question. Defensive line, you got your guys. Do you start the game off how people kind of wanted to see them do with Southern Miss? A lot of people kept hearing the criticism from the past weekend was start the game off with the starters and put 31 on them in one quarter and then sit everybody, and they didn't choose to go about it that way. My question with Boston College is, do you go about it that way this game? But I appreciate you for the dono, Jeff, as always.
Jeff.
And I think Vontae makes a great point. I think I said this a week or 2 ago with Clemson. Clemson's going to be fighting for their lives in this game. And again, I know this is Boston College week, so we're kind of looking ahead. But Clemson's already lost an ACC game. They cannot afford to lose another ACC game with Louisville being the major threat there. And this is not a knock. I know Miami fans will take it this way, but the reason I will say it's not a knock, the reason I will say Miami's not a threat to Clemson is because Miami and Clemson actually play. And because Miami and Clemson play, they're gonna settle that on the field anyway. Miami's got to go out there and handle business regardless. So, but remember, Louisville dodges Florida State and Clemson. So Clemson has to win this game. Clemson has to win this game for any type of playoff hope, which is probably already dead with the Duke loss, but you never know. If Clemson can beat Florida State, if Clemson can run the table, period, they might shoot back up, especially if they're playing Florida State twice. They could shoot back up into the playoff picture potentially. Definitely for the ACC, Clemson needs to win this game. So, and back to the original point, knowing how Clemson is going to approach this game, how does Florida State approach Boston College? Do you go in there, continue to load manage? You go in there, continue to watch the snap. I think you're going to watch the snap count regardless, but you go in there and say, Darius Washington will start at center, Maurice Smith won't play? Or do you get Maurice some snaps? That O-line has not played a lot of football together, man. The O-line, even in the LSU win, what do? Rotate a lot of bodies. I don't know if you can go through a season rotating that much bodies. I've been very clear on my opinion on the O-line and how you approach the O-line. At a certain point, in an atmosphere like a Clemson, or we play in Gainesville this year, like in those atmospheres, that O-line has to be able to communicate without it being a verbal, right? Just knowing how the guy next to you plays in situations. And I think the Boston College is a potential game where you can build that. But what do they prioritize, right? What do they prioritize? Because nobody really thinks Clemson's a threat. And I can understand if you've watched Clemson the first 2 games of the year, I can understand that. It's been 7 years, so y'all know how I am on the Clemson. The season's always been about Clemson to me. They look vulnerable as hell, but sometimes, that wounded animal bites the hardest. And if you go in there with that mentality, now granted, I'm with you guys. Talk your trash, y'all know how I feel. We can look ahead. We can talk our junk because we don't got to be the ones to get on the field. That's Mike Norvell's job, to have them boys ready to play that Clemson game and not be looking past it. We can. I'm just saying, sometimes a wounded animal bites the hardest. And if you're not careful, you never know. You never know. Tyler says, in his opinion, if the starters can play, they should play and play together. That's kind of where I'm leaning. Right? I don't really have an answer for y'all, but I'm kind of leaning your way, to be honest with you. I want to see us put like our units out there. And even if Maurice Smith only plays a quarter, now I get it. Anything can happen in a quarter of football. All it takes is one play. You saw with Aaron Rodgers, bro. All it takes is a play to snap an Achilles tendon. Crazy, right? So I get it, right? Anything can happen on any given play, but I guess the way I've always looked at injuries, if it's not gonna happen this game, then it's gonna if you're an injury is an injury, man. I don't know, So for me, play the starters. In a game that I don't expect to be, again, I don't expect to have a bunch of passing yards in this game because it's going to be sloppy and even if it's played later in the evening, I still think you're going to have a wet field, super wet field, a windy conditions. A lot of Trey Benson, Rodney Hill, Lawrence, Keziah, a lot of those boys. So maybe you can put them away early, but I think you want to I think you want to get your starters out there, bro. I think you want to get your starters out there on offense and defense, your starting units. Let them build some type of chemistry, even if it's for a quarter or two. And if you're really concerned, like if they're really concerned about Maurice Smith or Robert Scott, then pull them after that. Pull them after you go up. Pull them after you go up 14-0 or 21-0 or whatever, which could be in the first quarter. If you're really concerned, you pull them then. But I wouldn't pull them. I would at least let them start off the game against Boston College best. Speaking of Boston College best, I mean, what does Boston College really even have to offer in this game? In my opinion, man, the only thing Boston College brings to the table, and again, it's not something that I'd be worried about, but they do have this quarterback. And this quarterback is the type of quarterback. Now, he's a small guy, 5'10", 196. He's out of Georgia, but he is a runner. He's a runner. He's a track star. And he is the type of quarterback that can and has given FSU problems in the past. He's not the runner like Jaden Daniels, and he's not the runner of the Leonard kid that's in Duke. So he's not that, but he is a mobile guy. And he's also a smaller guy than both of those. He's a guy, though, that we should be able to contain, stop, and all those things. But he's a mobile guy who can he's going to provide different looks. He's going to get you ready for – what's his name? Is his name Ricky Leonard over there at Duke, whatever his name is? I wouldn't call him a great passer by any means. I wouldn't really say Boston College has any threats outside of him. At least not that Florida State should be like, there's no more Zay Flowers on this team, right? They don't have that. I don't know. I'm not too keen on. I don't know much about their running game. I'm just looking over their stuff right now, and it's like there's nothing that really pops off the page when you start talking about Boston College. So as far as what the roster brings, I mean, there's a reason why they went life and death with Holy Cross, which I'm still surprised, like, that's even a college. That sounds like, I don't know, the name of a hospital somewhere. They went life and death with Holy Cross, and then they lost to Northern Illinois. Not the Northern Illinois that we played in the Orange Bowl in 2012. So not that good team, but just Northern Illinois, like just a regular Northern Illinois. You somehow lost to Boston College, lost to them. So I don't think, again, this is a team that provides any. And then if you go look at the stats of that Northern Illinois game, it's not even like terrible stats all the way around from both teams. Not even like that was an offensive explosion or anything. So again, I don't think any team or neither team is providing. And this shows you how sorry Northern Illinois is. They beat Boston College week 1, and they lose to Southern Illinois. Didn't even know that was a school. They lose to Southern Illinois Salukis. I guess that's the type of dog, because that's what the mascot is, some type of dog. The Southern Illinois Salukis. 14. They scored all of 11 points against the Salukis. 14-11. So again, I think Southern Miss might actually be a better football team than Boston College. And there's that. So let me get to some of the comments. I've been doing a lot of talking and haven't really looked at too much of the comments. Zoe he asked a question. Who's our leader on defense to get our defense fired up if things don't go our way? Great question. I don't know. I would say Verse always seems to be the most vocal. But I mean, that's a great question. I guess. What do you see? I mean, do you think we not have one? I don't know. if Anthony Richardson got top 5, Jordan Travis is definitely a first round pick. Nah, not even comparable talents. Love Travis, but we're not even going to play that game. Anthony Richardson, 6'4", 240, ran a sub 4.5, 4.4, and can throw the ball 80 yards on a flick of his wrist. They're not comparable talents. Now, is Jordan Travis a smarter football player than Anthony Richardson? Absolutely. But as good of an athlete as Travis is, he's not the freak show that Anthony Richardson is. But just go watch week 1 of the Colts. Was he perfect by any means? Absolutely not. Played better. He did statistically, and what he's capable of doing kept the Colts in the game. Looked better than Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, if you ask me, in week 1. That's just me, though. Anthony Richardson and Jordan Travis aren't comparable. I'm just, being honest with you there. Tyler says, what's your opinion on all these opposing coaches talking about how great we are leading up to the game? I don't know. I haven't really thought much about that, to be quite honest with you. I mean, there's always some gamesmanship in some of that. It could be simply trying to test how disciplined the Florida State team is. You gas them up, do they start to feel themselves and they come out a little bit unfocused, But for everything an opposing coach can say nicely, that's why I always say, and I made this, comparison at the beginning of the year with Kirby Smart. I said the Kirby Smart's greatest coaching job was last year. It wasn't his first national championship. It was the back-to-back one. For one, it's always hard. There's a reason why it doesn't happen. Back-to-backs are hard to keep a team motivated. But he convinced a team full of top 50 recruits almost across the board that they sucked. That not only did they suck, but that the nation thought they sucked. And they went out there and completely proved everybody wrong and went back-to-back national championship. So it's up to Norvell to keep the focus. That's his job as a head coach. Tribal War says, what people have to realize is that we are a circle team on everyone's schedule. We are their Super Bowl, so that's been like that since the beginning of time, bro. I've said that. There's a reason why, even when we were in our down years, if I'm not mistaken, Florida State loses to those teams, even when like Willie Taggart was here. I believe a team rushed the field. I think Virginia. I think that game that Virginia beat us, they rushed the field. There's a reason why even when we suck, teams rush the field when they beat us. When you dominate a team for so long, you become their Super Bowl. We've been everybody's Super Bowl in the ACC since day one. Yeah, that shows you how bad Boston College is. Insane says, what's up? Let's not overlook BC. We can overlook whatever we want to. It's up for the team not to, like I always say. So I'm overlooking BC because they lost to a team that's called the Southern Illinois Salukis. I don't even know what a Saluki is, but that's the team they lost to. So quite frankly, if Florida State can't beat Boston College, then we should stop all this playoff talk and let's get back down to reality. So it is what it is. What freshman I am most excited about? The more I see Hussey in-game action, the more I think we talked about that Saturday night. The more I watch Hussey, the more I think if you told me by game 6 or 7 that he's starting, wouldn't shock me. Would not shock me one bit. So he's one that I'm excited to see. And then offensively, the receivers seem to be the ones getting most of the burn there. But really just Hussey's the one freshman I think can have the biggest impact early. Blake Nicholson, I still say has the highest ceiling, man. He just has to get in the weight room, which he will eventually. Blake is an athlete playing linebacker right now. Once he taps into being a linebacker with that type of athleticism, I don't know, man. Sky's the limit for Blake. I know it's not this guy, but shout out to Jarian, man. Look, do your thing, Jarian. I'm not here to bash you. He's the highest rated corner. I think I read something. He's like the highest rated DB in the country right now, which is absolutely ridiculous. But hey, shout out to Jarian. He's also not playing the field side or the boundary side. He's in the nickel slot. He's in the nickel. So that speaks to some things of maybe why his play has improved, right? Being in that nickel has benefited him. What's the status on Dent? Don't know what the status on Dent is because FSU doesn't release injury information. So Hussey's too small. What? Oh man. Why do we say these things? First of all, why do we say these things about freshmen? Freshman football players coming out of high school. I don't know about any of y'all in the chat, but I would love to know what some of y'all weighed coming out of high school. I would love to know what some of y'all weighed coming out of high school when we call D1 football players too small. I would love to know. Travis Hunter, that's a slender kid. Conrad Hussey is listed at 6 foot 195. How the hell is that too small? But shout out to Jakeem. He feels like Hussey's too small. Aside from Clemson, who do you think is a game we should absolutely not Pitt? I've said Pitt from the jump because they're always a well-coached football team and they come to play. Now, I think Pitt just lost to Cincinnati this past weekend, so they could be turning me into a liar, right? But Pitt for sure. And of course, if the rivals, I'm assuming we're not talking the rivals because that's a given, right? Our rivalry games are a given. So my assumption is you don't mean Miami or Florida. But Pitt initially, I mean, and now you got to look at Duke, right? You got to look at Duke with some type of, okay, let's pay some attention to Duke. Yeah, Pitt just lost to Cincinnati 27-21. So there's that. That doesn't mean anything per se. I still say you take that game serious. But Pitt, Duke, obviously. Wake is another one, right? So that 3-game stretch. Last year, remember we talked about 3-game stretches. And well, we have a 3-game stretch that is interesting in terms of Duke, just because Duke's already beaten. Duke's trying to do what we haven't been able to do in 7 years. So Duke's beat Clemson, so you got to give them that respect. When's the last time we beat Wake Forest? I'll let y'all tell me because I don't even remember myself. And Pitt, because they're just a well-coached football team. They always bring a hard-nosed team. And Wake Forest and Pitt, both away games. So you definitely got to take Wake Forest and Pitt seriously and Duke. And obviously, right, from Miami, Florida. That goes without saying. Never sleep on your rivals. I don't care how bad you think they are, don't sleep on them. Mighty Noel says, I'm just trying. What's up, POLK? I'm just tuning in. Been away for a while. But just want your opinion on our back end DB secondary. There's definitely some miscommunicate. They definitely can miscommunicate when opposing teams have movement. They don't really communicate well with movement. I don't know why. I don't know. I mean, I got to think they practice it, right? I don't know why when a team goes and when the opposing team shows motion, secondary tends to lose. You go to that Southern Miss game, same thing happened. They miscommunicated on a route. So that's the issue. I think they have talent, though. I just think they got to get it together. I do think they have talent. $18 last time we beat Wake. So there you go, man. We got to beat Wake Forest eventually, right? Got to beat Wake. Did he really change his name back? Miami fans are feeling themselves. Shout out to Miami fans. I ain't mad at them. They finally, I mean, when's the last time Miami won a game that was meant a damn thing? So them boys are feeling themselves. And, because of that, shout out to Miami, bro. I hope they pick it up. I got tickets to that game. I've already got my hotel booked for that game. I got the tickets bought. I will be in Tallahassee November 11th. Hopefully, it's a game day game. So, hey, Miami, keep doing your thing because I'm gonna be there for that game and make it as big as possible. Do you know why we haven't played Hakeem as much? Because our just receiving room. But he played a lot against Southern Miss, obviously. Jacobs I think Hakeem actually has had more snaps than Vendrevius Jacobs, because Hakeem even got into the game against LSU, believe it or not. Hakeem has actually played more than Jacobs. Dustin's gonna get burned because they are very high on Hill, and you just gotta remember, bro. Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, Winston Wright. You don't have to play Hakeem Williams, so. Hakeem's going to get there. I wouldn't worry too much on him. Hakeem's going to get there. I think so, too. I think the Miami game is going to be a good, fun game. He's definitely delusional right now, as most of them are. So, again, man, when it comes to this game, we don't need to do a deep dive on Boston College, right? It's this Castillo kid and everything else. Again, this is a Boston College team that lost to barely beat Holy Cross by 3. Again, that's a medical school. What is that? Is that a school for like chaplains? I don't know. What is Holy Cross? And then they lost to Northern Illinois, who then went to lose to the Southern Illinois Sukianas. The Sukianas. They lost to the Sukianas. If y'all know who Sukiana is, hit that like button. They lost to the Sukianas, who beat them game 1. So that's actually quite insane that you lost to a team called the Sukianas. That is insane. Not a lot of deep dive going into to Boston College, and I can see a score like this only because you're just gonna run the ball a lot. You feel me? You're just going to run the ball. The weather is the way it is. It's sloppy. You're not going to go out there and air the ball. They'll take their shots for sure. They'll take their shots. But Florida State could win a game like 38-7 or something. It might not even give up 7, just the fact that you might have 300 yards on the ground in this game against Boston College. Get in there, try to get out injury-free and all those good things. Yeah, I've heard about them being a sister school. And again, I shout out to Holy Cross, but hey. I think we see Biscuit, Morlock, and Bell on the field together. Absolutely should do more of that. You absolutely should do more of that. I have zero issues with that. Jaheim Bell's a glorified receiver. He just needs to start catching the ball. Biscuit, you saw against Southern Miss. Now, it was Southern Miss, but you saw against Southern Miss, he can move for a 300-pounder, which is what he essentially is. He can move for a 300-pounder, and Morlock is a big target himself. So all 3 of those guys bring a different dimension. I think you should see more of them. I think you will going forward. I don't want to hear nothing about no Miami Sugar Canes until they put the Gators back on their schedule for life, vice versa. I want to see something. We'll see what happens. I doubt that ever happens, but we'll see. What's up, Jay Hutch? Remember, Hakeem came and hired in Jacobs, and the cream started to rise to the top. I think Hakeem would be fine. So we'll be all right. I put Biscuit at fullback and run halfback, dive up the gut. Biscuit he might look slimmer than last year, but according to the depth chart, he's like 10 pounds more than he was last year. But he's still a big boy. He's a big boy. He's a big boy. Essentially, the whole purpose of this game, though, is you're setting up the noon game at Clemson. And I think Clemson, let me see, who does Clemson play this week? The Tigers play FAU. So both teams will be playing. I mean, Florida State theoretically has a tougher opponent. What is FAU's record? They are 1-1 so far on the season. FAU won 42-20 against Monmouth, and then they lost 17-10 to Ohio. So Clemson should have probably their way with this team. But if you didn't watch last week's game, Clemson went into halftime of last week's game like 17-14 with what was it? Who did they play last week? Charleston Southern? Yes, Charleston Southern had them. Actually was only down 3 at the half, and at one point was winning that game, 17-14. Now Clemson did finish 66-17, so they put it on them in the second half. But a team with more depth like that should put it on a team like Charleston Southern in the second half. And they got FAU, so that's another kind of game where they can work out the kinks against the Owls. Both teams have games that they should be able to work out the kinks going in, and that's essentially what I believe these two games this week that's preparing for. This is the game that we circled. We circled this game preseason, Clemson. We circled this game, and we knew this was the game that we had to pay attention to, and we also knew that we didn't expect Boston College to really be any good. So everything's kind of playing out how we thought. What position group do you think we have tops in the ACC other than receiver? I think we have the best running back room in the league, almost bar none. I can't even Clemson might have the best running back in the league, but we're deeper. We go 3-4. Yeah. Benson, Toafili, Hill. We might even go 5 if you want to throw CJ and Keziah Holmes. You can debate that. I think we have the best running back room in the ACC. Easy. You said other than wide receiver. Until I see anything different, I'm going to say we have the best O-line. I know Miami feels very highly about their O-line group. Their group's not as deep as ours. So as long as they stay healthy, they may be okay. I just don't think we need to overreact to a Texas A&M team that was 5-7. Texas A&M team, not good. Wasn't good last year. 5-7. Those same 5-star defensive linemen at A&M, go watch them. Show me where them boys are putting a bunch of show me what those boys do on film. Other than them being 5-star recruits, show me what makes them this elite defensive line unit, because teams like Appalachian State, and they have other things to say about how good that Texas A&M D-line is. I know Miami's high, and they beat I don't know if I can call them a good team. I don't know what Texas A&M is. I just know they have a bunch of high school talent, a lot of talent on that team from high school, and none of it has seemed to translate to the college level yet. None of it. So for me, we got the best O-line in the ACC, best running back room in the ACC, obviously the best wide receiver group in the ACC, best tight end group in the ACC. Let's just call it what it is. Probably the best interior in the ACC. Our edge guys have been a little, in terms of production, our edge guys haven't been the one getting the sacks, though I think we got pretty good ones. Definitely the best interior D lineman. And then after that, we can maybe have a debate about linebackers. I know Clemson, they have the more, how do you word it? The more high, NFL prospect linebackers. And then the secondary, I believe our secondary is still a project with guys like Fintrell and Ronaldo and Jarian. But you also got Greedy, who gets a bunch of snaps. Edwin can be coming on. Akeem Dent, Conrad Hussey. Barker plays a lot. Shaheem, who I actually think Shaheem has played very well up until this point. So a lot of good, but on offense, I don't know if you can name an offensive position from any school that's better than what we got. Florida got about 5 more losses on their schedule. If Florida, listen, don't be surprised if I don't think Tennessee's that good this year. Don't be surprised if Florida can beat Tennessee. Don't be surprised. I don't like saying nice stuff about the Gators, but I'm watching Tennessee, and nothing about Tennessee pops off the screen for me. They are not the same team they were last year. Do not be surprised if Florida can upset Tennessee this weekend. Don't be shocked. With our schedule, we should continue to run the gauntlet. We will be the most battle-tested team in the country. Miami's starting 5 is not bad. I agree with you, but they feel that way, and they are allowed to feel that way. Speaking of edges, what's up, T? Is it possible versus hurting himself this season thus far? If you want to strictly look at the sack numbers, maybe. I don't think so, and that's mainly because go watch it. Go watch Verse. Go watch the attention he has now drawn. So I'll be honest, the guy that y'all know who I love, I think he needs to play a little better, and I don't think he's played bad, but I need to see a little bit more from Pat, to be honest with you. Verse he's the one that's getting the chip blocks, all the attention, the double teams, and it has freed up the interior guys. It's freed up. I think teams are going to reevaluate who's more damaging to their offense. I don't think teams are going to want to keep giving Fisk one-on-one matchups against their guards. He's eating guards alive. At some point, people are going to realize we have to block Braden Fisk, and that may give Verse some more one-on-one opportunities. But if you actually watch Verse, I don't think he's hurting himself at all. I think Verse is fighting through a lot of attention. He's getting a lot of attention on his side, and that has freed up a lot of one-on-ones on the interior. And I need Pat to start winning his one-on-one matchups. That's where I will go to with Pat. I think Pat needs to step it up. I don't want to say Pat hasn't impressed me. His length still gets the job done, but I just need to see a little bit more from Pat, and that's okay. Pat could be going through the sophomore slump. Y'all, I guess we forget Pat Payton's a sophomore, so he might be going through some sophomore slump stuff. He'll be fine, but I would like to see a little bit more from Pat. But our interior guys are eating. I think a lot of that has to do with, one, they're really good. Joshua Farmer has taken that next step, it seems. Briggs has taken that next step. Fisk is a man amongst boys most nights. Fabo is still Fabo when he's on the field. We just got to get him healthy so he can be every down on the field. And I think Verse has a lot to do with the fact that those guys are just getting one-on-one matchups. I really do. So that's a long answer for that question, T. I don't think Verse is hurting himself. Sample size is too small. And our edges were tasked with containment against Daniels. Matt Lee is better than Mo Smith. Conan better than me. Matt Lee is better than Mo Smith based on what? PFF grades? Cohen is better than Meach or Roddick? Maybe. Possible. Hard to judge. I don't know if Cohen's better than my boy Keandre, but who I believe should be starting, in my humble opinion. But to say Matt Lee's better than Mo, I can't say that at all. That's just based on PFF grades. That's based on one guy playing a season at UCF. He said Glenn will be the next Mackenzie Milton when he was at UCF. Ooh. Miami's O-line is more talented. They have more young talent. I don't disagree with that. Maui Go was going to be a good one. You can see it, right? I'm not going to sit here. And tell you he's not. Maui Goa is a dog, young stud. That kid's a fresh. That kid's 17, 18 years old, and he's 6, whatever he is, 350. He's a monster. He's going to be really good. High-end talent. And I've said this about our O-line before. I think our starting guys, our guys aren't high-end talent guys. Bless and Keandre and Jeremiah, those are wild cards. I don't know how high-end they are, but those are the wild cards. Maui Goa looks like he, barring some type of freak injury with him, he's going to he's going to be a first-round guy. I mean, that kid's good. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. The kid's good. And a freshman's going to have 30 yards of holding penalties. I mean, that's what happens when you play a freshman. So I tried to tell Miami fans before the season. There's no problem playing freshman. You can count on the freshman, but he's going to have those instances where he does give you those bunch of holding calls. Absolutely. They might have, but Cohen's a 1-year rental. Lee's a 1-year rental. So you can't say they have more high-end talent. But definitely at tackle with Maui Goa. And then it remains to see what Samson eventually turns into. But I think our starters are better. And then our high-end talented guys, they're not even seeing the field yet. Armella, Early, Simmons, those guys are not seeing the field yet. What's up, Kane Zay? Yeah, that's basically what I just said right there. Our high-end talent guys are not seeing the field yet, for sure. And we're definitely deeper. If Miami suffers a few injuries on the O-line, But I cannot take. I'm not gonna say anything bad about that kid, Francis. All right, Maui Go. I can't say anything bad about him. He's the truth, and I liked what I've watched from him this year. I think he's going to be a really good one, as long as he stays injury free, and they continue to develop him. He has all the physical tools. All the physical tools. It's early in his career, right? So anything can happen, but he looks the part. Looks the part. I think Otto could be really good too. We'll wait and see on guys like Otto. Definitely has the frame to be good, but those guys are going to take a while to develop and get where they got to go. I mean, look how far we've come with like Darius, right? And even Mo. There's a time where I couldn't stand seeing Maurice Smith out there, but you can look and see the physical difference in Maurice Smith now. There was a time where Maurice Smith was going out there and he was playing at 160 pounds, and you could see it. Now he looks like he's legit. At least I've always said, if you can just get Maurice Smith up to 280, 285, 290, he's in the he got it. We in there. He actually looks like he's playing at that weight now. Held up very good against LSU. Played a hell of a game against LSU. I think Otto's going to be one of our future centers. I think he's going to be one of our future centers for sure. So, nice young talent on both teams. I'm glad Miami fans think they got a solid. Good to see a solid crowd on this Wednesday. Yes, absolutely, man. Share, hit the like button. Nice crowd tonight. When we just talk a little bit of Boston. I mean, look, Boston College. We know the deal with Boston College. The Storm is the big story of this weekend, not so much Boston College. Will we be having that game? If we have that game, is it still going to be a noon game? Are they pushing that game back or later on in the evening? There was talks of maybe moving that game to Tallahassee. I think if that was happening, we'd know by now. I do think if they were really considering moving that game to Tallahassee, we would know. Here, I'm gonna read something. Don't call this is not official weather report, but this is from Tomahawk Nation News, and they're talking about Hurricane Lee. Yeah, so they're basically reporting as of this publication, there are no indications from either university or the conference that the game will be effective. And the game, as of right now, guys, the game is going on as scheduled. So we'll see. All depends on what happens. I think we'll really know come Friday night. I think Saturday. I think what may happen is they'll just push the game back later in the evening if they have to do anything. Obviously, again, they're not moving it to Tallahassee, or Boston College would probably be on the plane right now. Worst case scenario, from the sounds of it, is they're just going to push the game back if it comes to that. If it comes to that. So that's the biggest story, because Boston College, y'all, we should, what do y'all think? How many points we going to put on Boston College? Let's do it. What's your score predictions? Score predictions in the chat. Boston College, score predictions. Yeah, Keziah got some wheels. You want to watch the team in the elements? Fair enough. If they push it later to the evening, it won't be on TV. Get your ACC streaming access. I'm gonna say this, and this I don't know if y'all have YouTube, bro. YouTube's been a lifesaver, especially when I was away in the desert. YouTube was a lifesaver for me. YouTube has been showing every single game. All you got to do is put on YouTube whatever the game you want to watch. There's a channel somewhere that's live streaming the game. YouTube has been a lifesaver. Now, some of those streams will get shut down during the live stream, but usually they somehow pick it back up. YouTube has been a lifesaver for a lot of these games. But he's right. If that game gets pushed back, it probably won't be on your TV. It'll be on. You'll have to get if you have like ESPN. If you pay for ESPN Plus, you'll probably be able to watch it, or YouTube. But for most of y'all, should be able to catch it on YouTube, man. It's gonna rain. That's it. 38-3. Again, I think a lot of people. I think we're gonna see a lot of 30s, and I get it only because of the weather. Definitely gonna be a game. Again, I think we could run for 300 yards in this game. Wouldn't shock me. A 38-3 game sounds about right. 65-10. That means we're airing it out a little bit. I don't know. 55-7, 52. Before the weather, I was on this. Before the weather, I thought we could put up 52-10ish. That was my score prediction before the weather. Now, if you're telling me that they're going to be playing in a tropical storm or on the field, I think Boston College has a turf field at that. I think on a field that's going to be sloppy, wet, slick, slippery, might be a little bit, even if it's 15, 20 mile an hour wind, that can affect the throwing, right? So even with that, I don't think they're going to air it out to the point where we're putting up the high 50s or anything like that. I think a 42, low 40s, high 30s makes sense to me. Everybody looking at high school recruits. I'm looking to see who can grab out the portal for next year. Stream East. There you go, Stream East. I'm telling you, man, YouTube been saving football, man. They've been showing any game you've wanted to watch. YouTube has had it. Any game. FSU 41-29, 41-21. He's being fair. 45-10, 63-3. YouTube is like NFL Red Zone. I'm trying to tell you, any game you want to watch, it's on the tube. It's on the tube. I don't think they're going to move it up to Friday. I mean, I guess tomorrow's Thursday, so theoretically they could. But I feel like that is something that would have already been – like that's something that you have had deep discussions with already on a Wednesday if you're trying to move the game up to Friday. Yeah, that's not ideal for throwing the ball if that is what happens. And I don't think BC wants to play us. I mean, I wouldn't want to play us either, but they're going to line up and get this work. They're going to line up and get this work. This ain't COVID. They're going to line up and they can get this work. Or they can just forfeit the game, though I would prefer to play the game. Personally, I would prefer to play the game. So 30-3. I think that's a little low, maybe high 30s, but I get it. Again, I get it. 60-13. They got to travel tomorrow if the game is Friday. That decision, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They would have had to start traveling already or getting ready to travel tonight. That decision would have been made today or somewhere around that time. So I don't think that's happening. POLK, has Shea Jr. been getting any playing? Great question. Don't know, but let's look. We can look at. Let's look at the here. Let's look at Georgia's stats up until now. If he has been playing, one would assume that he had some stats that we should be able to look up and find. So we're gonna go to defense. And I'm looking, and I'm looking, and I'm looking, and there he is, Marvin Jones Jr., all 6'5", 250 of them. He has 2 total tackles this year. Come home, man. Come home, bro. I guarantee you'd have came home, you'd have been playing. First of all, they got him at linebacker, which I'm assuming is outside, edge rusher, but they standing him up. You would have came home, we would have put your hand in the dirt. You'd be lining up opposite of Verse and patting these guys. And I guarantee you'd have more than 2 tackles in the first 2 games of the season. But as of right now, Marvin Jones Jr., not only are they 2 they're 2 assisted tackles, so they're not even like 2 solo tackles. No tackle. That's it. He has no tackles for loss, no pass breakups, no sacks, no fumble recoveries, no forced fumbles. He's in 2 games logged a tackle. Come home, bro. I don't know what you're doing over there at Georgia in the first place, but wish them all the best, bro. I wish them all the best. All depends on what we're talking about. Are we talking about college? If we're talking about college, no. If we're talking about college, TVD has not nearly done anything. I mean, up until last Saturday, Tyler Van Dyke's best win is Texas A&M. A 5-7 Texas A&M at that. Or, to be fair, the number 20 ranked team on the second game of the season. That's his best win. That's his best win, Tyler Van Dyke. Even the year where he was he burst onto the scene. He lost to Florida State that year. First of all, he's 0-2 against Florida State, so he's never beaten the Seminoles. He's never beaten North Carolina. I don't think he's beaten any of his rivals, bro. Outside of Florida State, what other Miami rival? I haven't played Florida. I don't know what other rivals they got. Hasn't beaten Clemson. Hasn't beaten North Carolina. Hasn't beaten Florida State. Jordan Travis has wins over a top 5 North Carolina, whether you count COVID or not, whatever. Fine. We don't have to count COVID. He still beat Sam Howell-led North Carolina. He's beaten top 5 LSU. He's beaten Miami twice. He's 1-1 with Florida. Had he not got hurt in the first Florida game, I believe we win that game. He'd be 2-0 against Florida and Miami. No, I don't think TVD is a better college quarterback than Jordan Travis. Now, when we start talking pros prospects, I just keep it real with y'all. He probably translates better to the NFL. He probably has more of the tools that an NFL team is looking for, speaking of TVD, than Jordan Travis. Marvin Jones Jr. is number 7. He's number 7. He's absolutely, I won't call him a nobody, but yeah, I mean, that's what he is. He made a bad, I agree, he made a bad decision going to Georgia. Toughest game left on the schedule? Great question. We still got Clemson left on the schedule. Miami looks like an improved team. Say what you want about Miami, but they're definitely an improved team. Duke, Florida. We'll see how Florida looks against Tennessee. Either way, I don't think Florida's a good team, but I think they have a chance to upset Tennessee this weekend. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree that he's not a guy that's scanning the field and throwing guys open. But even with that said, again, the physical trait. Again, Anthony Richardson shows y'all what the NFL is looking for. He has had more of the physical throwing traits. Talking of TVD, now is TVD looking off DB? He's not that. That has a lot to do with just him having 3 different coordinators in his time. Speaking of TVD, so there's a lot there with that. But again, NFL managers and coaches, they think they can fix that. They don't necessarily care about that. Stuff's great. But I think TVD throws a nice ball. I think he's got arm talent that they're going to covet. So that's just me on the TVD Jordan Travis comparison. Travis is a better college player. TVD probably projects better into the NFL. It's going to be interesting to see TVD continue to go forward and how he looks. And what we saw Saturday, who is Blake Nichols really is. He's going to start as a true sophomore, especially with the Locha Bethune potentially being gone. But they're going to need him. They're going to need him as a true sophomore for sure. They're going to need him. But again, he's an athlete. Blake's an athlete. How much do you think Shedeur and JT match up? I see a lot of similarities in how they manage the game. If you're an NFL scout, who do you take? I think Shedeur translates better to the NFL. Like, I don't like to keep doing this, man, because y'all making it sound like, or I guess I'm making it sound like I'm completely shitting all over Jordan Travis, and I'm absolutely not. But I actually like Shedeur Sanders. What I like about Shedeur, I don't know. First of all, he throws a great ball. And Shedeur does something. What Shedeur does that's going to make him valuable to the NFL. And why he's going to play football for a long time. And he will be drafted. The question is where? He's extremely accurate, and he protects the football. Say what you want about Colorado, whether you believe in him or not, or whatever the case. Shedeur doesn't put the ball in harm's way, period. Doesn't put the ball in harm's way. And when he does throw the ball, he's extremely accurate. I can't think of too many errant passes from him. Now, he had a couple, I think, in TCU where he kind of overthrew, right? But I'd much rather a guy overthrow than underthrow. He's very accurate, and he protects the football. And he has a live enough arm to make all the throws. So I like Shedeur. I like him. What's up, Raymond? Shedeur makes plays in the pocket. Shedeur's taking way too many sacks. I mean, his O-line sucks. Credit to he does have a tendency to hold the ball. But some quarterbacks try to make plays. Jordan Travis has a tendency to hold the ball. The difference between Travis and Shedeur, Travis runs outside the pocket and holds the ball when he should just be tucking and running. He runs outside the pocket and wants to hold the ball to the last minute and do whatever. So a lot of quarterbacks do that. They just play it different ways. You can say one's more effective than the other. That's fine. And credit to that offensive coordinator at Colorado, because he's done a great job hiding Colorado's weaknesses. Everything's quick. Shedeur's a smart football player that we don't give a lot of credit to either, because he's quick with his decisions. There's not a lot of get back there, 5-step drop. Nope, don't do none of that. Quick decisions. You know your O-line's not very good and really can't hold up. You see that anytime a team like Nebraska was getting after it in that first half. Anytime a team brings any kind of real rush, you don't even have to rush 5. You can just rush with 4. That Colorado O-line doesn't quite hold up, which I, again, don't understand why TCU rushed 3 the entire – I understand they play a 3-3-5, but, man, you just rushing 3 the whole game. Well, that's why Shedeur was able to pick you apart. Colorado's O-line is not good. J.K. is limited in arm talent. He can make his mechanics tighter, improve his footwork. His best asset in the NFL would be his athleticism. Travis in the NFL, I'm not saying it's impossible for him to play. I mean, I've seen a guy like Rich Gannon who didn't have a live arm was able to play. I think Rich Gannon even won an MVP. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. There have been guys that have thrown the ball as well, or maybe not as well as Jordan Travis have some success in the league. It's all about if he can get like Jalen Hurts. I'll go with Jalen Hurts. I don't know how good or bad Jalen Hurts is, but I'm gonna bring up Jalen Hurts to this. If you get with a coach who believes in you and will put you in the best position offensively to do what you do, Jordan Travis can have some success. The issue is going to be, is anybody ever going to give him that opportunity? Not everybody gets the Russell Wilson opportunity or the Jalen Hurts opportunity to be that. So that's going to be the question there with Jordan Travis. Zoe says, man, they're having a great time in Colorado. I do believe if they somehow win 9+ games, they will grab every top talent in high school in portal next year. Sure, their recruiting will go up because, as we know, or as we have found out, winning helps recruiting. We have found that out. And Deion Sanders has already shown that he can recruit. So if they win 9 games, they're not winning 9 games. Listen, not knocking Colorado. I've been love what I've seen from them actually up until this point, to be honest with you. But we are really it's mind-boggling to me the way we are overrating Colorado to the extent that we are, for the simple fact all of a sudden people are acting like Nebraska is a good football. Nebraska has been down longer, if not as long as Miami, and all of a sudden we are acting like Nebraska is this amazing football team. We are acting like Jeff Sims didn't turn the ball over 50,000 times in that game when Nebraska really could have went into halftime up. That score could have been flipped to 36-14 for Nebraska favor if they had a quarterback who could hold on to the football. Right? So I'm saying all of that to say I don't know, man. We are pushing it. I don't see Colorado will start out 3-0 because they're going to beat Colorado State. They're not beating Oregon. They go Oregon, USC, Arizona State. I don't think they're beating Arizona State. So they're going to be 3-3, I believe, at best. They'll probably beat Stanford. UCLA will be a very interesting game. Oregon State looks like a hell of a good team. Washington State's ranked. Utah, man, them boys are still losing a few games. 9 games? 9 games means they're going to run the table on a bunch of teams. I think you're jumping the gun with 9 games, but we'll see what happens. Who has Shedeur played to say he translates to the NFL? Can I ask you a question? One, understand what I want to ask you. Do you know what you're watching? Right? Do you understand what you're watching when you watch him? That's my first question. And then I'll just ask you this: who has Caleb Williams played? They play in the same conference and play the same competition. So who has Caleb Williams played to say he translates to the NFL? And all he's done is won a Heisman, but he's playing against the same secondaries that Shedeur's playing against. So who has Caleb Williams played? I'm just asking a question. Right? Let's be careful. Be careful what we say. Think through the process before you ask questions. I mean, I give JT his credit. I think we, as fans, we tend to, I went through this last year, y'all, with Jamie, and I try to tell everybody, like, man, Jamie Williams going to be like a second-round pick. I try to tell people, no, Jamie's not going to be a second-round pick. He'd be lucky to be a third-rounder. He's a fourth or fifth-rounder. Now, he went in the fourth. I don't want to say I told you so, but like I usually do, it's not about how good they are as college. I think Jamie Williams was a damn good college safety. It's how you translate to that next level. There's different conversations between how good a guy is in college and where he translates. I think JT is a hell of a college quarterback. And if he could win the Heisman against a big game against Clemson, Miami, and Florida, he plays like he played against LSU the rest of the way, J-Trav can have the stats to at least be invited to New York. But we've seen hella college quarterbacks. Troy Smith. We've seen guys kill it in college and know they don't translate to the league. That's all I'm saying. JT is a great college quarterback who I'm not sure translates to the next level. I can make the argument right now. If Johnny Wilson held on a lot of those drop passes, JT would lead the ACC in passing yards today. Probably. I don't think you're lying. There's a couple of those passes if JT threw a better ball. I think if JT throws a better ball to Deuce Spann walks into the end zone. JT could have threw for 300 yards in the first half last week if guys just held on to the ball. And he threw a couple better passes. I don't disagree with you, Zoe. Sure, Jordan Travis would get drafted. I don't disagree with you. Jordan Travis would get drafted in the, if I had to guess, 5th round or below is what you'll see JT being drafted at. I hope he does. Says Shadur. Caleb played the entire season in the Pac-12. He absolutely has. We've seen what he did. We've only seen Shadur against Nebraska and TCU, to be fair. Fair enough. We've only seen that. I mean, again, when it comes to Shadur, the man, it went from saying that, he only played against HBCUs, and that's fine, but Shadur at that level was putting up, 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns while he was at Jackson State, right? So he dominated that level, and I get it, right? We don't want to give him credit for that, and that's fine. You don't have to give him credit for dominating at that level, right? So in the 2 years he was at Jackson State, 70% completion percentage, like I say. So the guy's extremely accurate with the ball. Over 3,700 yards his last year. His freshman year, 3,200 yards, 30 touchdowns, 8 picks, 40 touchdowns, 6 picks. Again, extremely accurate, but I get it. That level of football doesn't count. So all he does is go up to the Power 5 level against a TCU team while, again, they were just in the national championship. And while I'm not a fan of the defense they called, the man threw for 500 yards and whatever amount of touchdowns. So all he's done in 2 games at Power 5 level, at the level that they said he couldn't play, is go 78% completion percentage, 900 yards, and he's not like he's dinking and dunking because he's averaging 10 yards a pass and 6 touchdowns. And we're sitting here and we're going, he can't play. Again, do you know what you're watching? I'm just asking, do you know what you're watching? Because you can say what you want about TCU. Hey, I don't love the game plan they came out with, and that's mainly because they just didn't put pressure on him. They let him sit back and pick them apart. But again, this is a team that myself included thought we're going to get blowed out by those boys game 1. Then he goes against a Nebraska team, again, who's not very good or hasn't been good in a long time. But you can't blame that on the Nebraska defense last week. Nebraska had any type of offense. So I get it, man. We don't like Deion. We don't like Deion. We got to hate on Deion. We got to talk bad about Deion and anything that has to do with Colorado and Deion is, you feel me? We got to say something negative. But again, if you just watch Shedeur, man, you see a lot of good things in his repertoire. That's all I'm saying. And I see a lot of good things in his repertoire. I think his strengths translate to the next level. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Pound for pound, those Southern Miss DBs gave our wide receivers a really good look. They were very aggressive. I agree with you, Turner. They were very aggressive. They weren't big enough, right? But what they did do, they played through the ball well. Like, our guys had their hands on balls, and those DBs were able to get in there and get the ball. They were very aggressive. I agree with you. Williams has a better arm. I will agree with you on Williams having a better arm, more elusive. More elusive doesn't make him a better quarterback. Let's talk about quarterback stats, because Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, I can name a bunch of quarterbacks that couldn't run from here to there. So that's irrelevant to me. But Williams has a better arm, can read a defense better. I don't know about that. I don't think you know about that. So we'll see. I did watch it and the only reason I watched the game, because know me, I'm not that big of an NFL nut, but I do watch it. But the main reason I watch that game is James Cook is on my fantasy, and I had the fantasy. Let me tell you about this game Monday, bro. I'm supposed to win this fantasy match. All I need is James Cook to have a pedestrian game, which he really did. But T was who I was playing in the fantasy league. This man had the Jets defense. The defense and special teams won this man the game because they returned the kick. They picked Josh Allen's sorry ass, killed me, and he's not even my quarterback. But he killed me anyway because he gave the Jets a gazillion points because he threw a million picks and fumbled the ball. There's the only reason. The only reason I really watched the game was like, man, give Cook the ball. So here we are. I'm losing the game because of that. What's up, Kenny? Do you think the game is not played? I think the game would be played. I think we would know right now the game wouldn't be played. I think the game would be played, but I don't think it'd be moved to Tally because we would know by now. We're talking about moving the game to Tallahassee. That means guys are traveling tomorrow and getting settled in Friday. So I think we would know if Boston College was traveling to Tallahassee. I don't think that's happening. I think the game can be moved to later in the evening if at worst case scenario. I do think that. We've seen Caleb against elite comp, have we? I haven't. Or should I say the elite comp I saw him against, that Utah defense last year? Yeah, I saw him in that game. Look, I don't call any defense in the Pac-12 elite. And that's why I brought up that comparison with the Pac-12 when people say he hasn't played anybody. And I'm saying, okay, well, he's going to play the same Pac-12 defenses that Caleb lit up. So I don't believe we've seen Caleb against elite competition. He's played Power 5 competition, but I put no stock in the Pac-12 defenses unless you're Utah. And usually Stanford fields a solid defense. I don't know if Stanford's fell off in recent years. Other than Utah, there is no elite defense. And there's a reason why Utah has won that conference back-to-back, because they're the only real defensive team in that conference. And go watch Caleb Williams in that Utah game. Didn't look elite there, did he? But I guess we're going to say that all the Pac-12 teams are full of elite defenses. Y'all are definitely hating on defense, Deion. It's okay, though. USC definitely doesn't have an elite defense. Jets are cursed, bro. They are cursed. Yeah, man. Jets are cursed. The crazy thing is they still won the game. And Zach Wilson's absolutely garbage. I think I'm gonna say this. This is kind of crazy, bro. I think the Jets would have been a Super Bowl contender with Aaron Rodgers. That offense is not a bad offense with Dalvin and who's the other running back they got? Breece Hall. And those receivers, I think they would have put up some points. And that Jets defense is nice. Jermaine on that D-line looked like Florida State D-line out there. Real talk. They got players everywhere on that D-line. From Jermaine, all Quentin Williams. They got dogs all along the D-line. And of course, you got Sauce Gardner. Like, man, that defense is nasty. Brady, you got me saying Brady. They need to give Jameis a call, real talk. Jameis deserves to play in this league. I don't care what nobody says. Jameis deserves to play in this league. And he's damn sure better than Zach Wilson. I don't care what anybody says. But yeah. Yeah, I think if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, man, I think the Jets they're right there at the end of the year. They're playing the Chiefs probably in the AFC Championship or something like that. How the tiebreak between NC, Duke, and Clemson, who would get? I guess head-to-heads, right? So in your scenario, Duke's already beat Clemson, but I'm going to assume you're saying like Clemson beats North Carolina, but North Carolina beats Duke, right? So then how would they figure that out? I guess great question. I don't know. My assumption would be like some sort of point differential or, like something like that. Like, okay, Duke beat Clemson by 21, right? Would that be considered the best win? Because NC State beat Duke by 3, but Clemson beat NC State by whatever. I guess it'd have to be some type of situation there. I guess would have to be the case, right? That's my guess. The problem is in your scenario, you have Duke beating us. Because the assumption is that all those boys have one ACC loss. If the problem in this scenario is we play two of these teams. So the sucky part is you're saying that Duke and Clemson is either beating us, and then if not, that means they both would have two ACC losses apiece. But now you're saying North Carolina would have to have another loss. Then the question is, who would that loss be to? And now is that other team in the mix in the ACC? A lot of things there. I would love it. They need to make. I don't know what they need to make it happen. They need to make that one happen. I don't think Duke is good as they seem. It's Duke, bro. Y'all know how I play on that. It's Duke. It's Duke. Is Duke. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not worried about Duke. I know they're a good team and all of that, or they seem to be a good team, but it's Duke. And again, yes, Louisville's in that same mix because they don't play. At least Clemson, right? They don't play Clemson, so there's obviously that. So I guess with all that said, we did a good hour and 30 minutes. We talked a little bit about Boston College, man. Again, not much to talk about on Boston College. Pick your score, but if the weather's bad, you might want to pick on the lower end of the spectrum of the score, just for the fact that, rain, wind, all that stuff. We'll probably keep the game short and sweet. A lot of running. Might run for a bunch, but that doesn't, might not score a bunch of touchdowns. Maybe we do. Run for a bunch and score a bunch of touchdowns, possibly. So we did a little score prediction. I'm going to give a score prediction. I originally was going to go 52-10 with the Boston College game. Not so much now if that weather kind of is the way it is. Though I think we stay in the 40s. I think I'm going to go 41. I'm going to go 41-3. That's going to be my score prediction. If the weather is limiting the passing, I think that even plays more into our hands on defense. They're not going to be able to run for us, and that little dude might get killed. So 41-3 will be my prediction for this game. And again, it's Boston College, guys. This game is the preparation game for next weekend. Big weekend next weekend. Should be a lot of good stuff to talk about next weekend as we kind of look ahead to the Clemson Tigers. But we are wearing the white helmets. Don't want to see the all garnet. I agree. I don't like that combo, all garnet and white. I thought it was ugly. And I think they need to add I said this last year with the all white helmets. They need to do more than just the garnet arrow or spear, whatever the hell. Throw some gold in there. Gold makes the white helmet pop. I would like to see that. 40 plus, 49-3. Panama says, what do you think about KJ Boyd visiting UGA? Nothing to think about. Until he decommits, I don't have anything to worry about. At the end of the day, we all knew, or you should have known, these guys are going to still take their visits. None of them have said, we know who has shut their recruitment down, like a Landon Thomas has shut it down, Croman, Cam, but I don't think Lester has shut his down. I could be mistaken, right? Don't think Charles Lester shut it down. We know KJ hasn't shut it down, but guess what? All these guys should be back on Florida State's campus. So I don't take anything from it. These other schools have an opportunity to continue to recruit these young men, and Florida State has that same opportunity, and they have the commitment. So as far as I'm concerned, Florida State keeps doing what they're doing. They'll be fine in the end, I believe. And with all that said, Thursday, tomorrow, I'm going to go live again, and we're going to talk some more Florida State ball, but this time like we did last Thursday. Thursday is going to be my special guest day of the week. So for me, on Thursdays, we're bringing somebody on. I'm going to try to do somebody different as much as I can. Last week, we had Built for Playmakers, Kelvin Hunt in the building. This week, I'm going to have the Renegade Report. We decided tomorrow, we're going to come back on here. If you don't know who the Renegade Report is, he does a lot of stuff on Mark Rogers' show now. So he has a segment on the Mark Rogers show where they talk Florida State ball. So he is going to come on tomorrow, and we're going to talk some Florida State football. So if you're looking forward to that, go ahead and get ready. Get ready for that one tomorrow on Thursday, our special guest day of the week. And that is all we have here tonight. So as always, guys, hit the like button on the way out. If you did not hit it on the way in, share the video. Continue to share the video. I always say that's the best way to support the channel, is hitting the like button and sharing the video, because we continue to grow this community, the livest community. I keep saying it. I don't just say it for my health. I say it because I believe it, and I know it's true, regardless of what anybody says. This is the livest, most interactive YouTube, this platform, period, when it comes to this Florida State stuff. We do it over here like no one else. So, like button, share, and if you're new, subscribe by all means. If you're new around here, subscribe if you're not. And then also you can become a member of the tribe, but you don't have to worry too much about that. That's if you want to. And again, those prices are minimal. You probably lose more change coming from the convenience store than that costs to become a member of the 863 tribe. But if that's something you're interested in, by all means, become a member of the tribe. But just hitting that like button and sharing the video and subscribing. Those are the big things for me. So appreciate everybody that tuned in on this Wednesday evening. As always, it's your boy POLK over here on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, Seminoles, and go Noles. We are out here. Let's go ahead and put Boston College in the dirt. Y'all have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow with the Renegade Report.